What if I told you that there are 7 simple rules that could reduce your risk of heart attack by 80%? That following these rules could cut your diabetes risk by 88%? What if I said that these aren't just lifestyle tips pulled from thin air, but scientific evidence based on one of the most comprehensive studies ever conducted on human longevity? Welcome to a journey that spans decades of research, involving hundreds of thousands of participants, and some of the most rigorous scientific methods ever applied to the study of aging. This isn't about fad diets or quick fixes. This is about understanding what truly matters for living a long, healthy life, based on evidence that has stood the test of time and scientific scrutiny. Today, we're going to explore the 7 rules that emerged from Harvard research involving 32 prospective cohort studies. These aren't just numbers on a page. These are real insights that have the power to fundamentally change how we think about aging, health, and what it means to truly live well. The first thing we need to understand is that these 7 rules don't exist in isolation. Each one connects to the others in ways that create a web of health and longevity. When you implement one rule, you're not just checking a box. You're creating a ripple effect that touches every aspect of your physical health, your energy levels, your mental clarity, and even your emotional well-being. Let's begin with the first rule, and understand why it matters not just in isolation, but as part of this interconnected system of health. The first rule might seem obvious, but the science behind it is profound. Tobacco, in any form, doesn't just affect your lungs. The toxins in tobacco smoke, the carcinogens in smokeless tobacco, they create a cascade of inflammatory responses throughout your entire body. Your cardiovascular system responds to these toxins by increasing inflammation markers, which damage the delicate lining of your arteries. Your immune system goes into overdrive trying to neutralize foreign chemicals, and in the process, becomes less effective at protecting you from real threats like infections and cancers. But here's what most people don't fully understand. When you stop tobacco use, your body doesn't just return to baseline. It begins an active process of repair. Within 20 minutes of your last cigarette, your blood pressure starts to drop. Within 12 hours, carbon monoxide levels normalize. Over the coming weeks and months, circulation improves, lung capacity increases, and the cilia in your airways begin to function properly again. Your body is actively healing itself. The same principle applies to the second rule, alcohol consumption. Now, I know this can be a sensitive topic. We live in a culture where moderate alcohol consumption is often celebrated, sometimes even promoted for heart health. But the 32 prospective cohort studies tell a different story. When you look at the data carefully, alcohol creates a burden on your liver that goes beyond simply breaking down ethanol. Your liver has to manage not just the alcohol, but the aldehydes it produces, the reactive oxygen species, the disruption to your circadian rhythms. All of this creates stress at a cellular level that accumulates over time. Think about it this way. Your liver isn't just a filter. It's an active metabolic organ that participates in hundreds of biochemical processes. When it's busy dealing with alcohol, it's not optimally performing its other functions like detoxification, hormone processing, blood sugar regulation. This isn't about moral judgment. This is about understanding the biological reality of what alcohol does in your body and making informed choices based on that understanding. The third rule brings us to movement, and this is where the data gets particularly interesting. The studies showed that for every hour of exercise, participants lived approximately 3 hours longer. Let me say that again. Every hour of training translates to approximately 3 hours of additional life. But it's not just about longevity. It's about the quality of that life. The research showed that just 40 minutes per week of moderate activity reduced overall mortality risk by 15%. What's happening biologically when you move your body? Your cardiovascular system becomes more efficient at delivering oxygen to tissues. Your muscles produce signals called myokines that have beneficial effects throughout your body. Your brain receives increased blood flow and releases neurotrophic factors that support cognitive function. Your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, become more numerous and more efficient. This isn't just about burning calories. This is about fundamentally improving how your body functions at every level. Now, the fourth rule addresses a topic that's much more nuanced than we've been led to believe. Overweight is often oversimplified as just a matter of caloric balance, but the studies reveal something much more complex. The relationship between weight and longevity isn't linear. There are people in what we call the healthy weight range who face significant metabolic challenges, and there are people who might be considered overweight but have excellent metabolic health markers. The key insight from the research is that not all weight is created equal. Visceral fat, the fat that accumulates around your organs, is metabolically active in ways that subcutaneous fat is not. Visceral fat produces inflammatory cytokines, disrupts insulin signaling, and places stress on your cardiovascular system. The goal isn't necessarily to achieve a specific number on the scale. The goal is to optimize your body composition through the integration of proper nutrition, movement, and metabolic health. This brings us naturally to the fifth rule, which encompasses what we choose to eat and how those choices affect our biochemistry. The research specifically points to meat and sugar consumption as factors in longevity. But let's understand why this matters beyond surface-level health advice. When we talk about meat consumption, we're not just talking about a single food category. We're talking about several interconnected factors. The type of meat matters. The quality matters. The quantity matters. The preparation method matters. Processed meats contain nitrites and other compounds that can form carcinogenic compounds in the body. Excessive saturated fat from certain types of meat can contribute to cardiovascular inflammation. The heme iron in red meat can contribute to oxidative stress when consumed in excess. Sugar presents its own set of challenges. Refined sugars cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, which triggers insulin release. When this happens repeatedly throughout the day, your cells begin to resist insulin signals. This insulin resistance doesn't just affect blood sugar. It affects fat storage, inflammation levels, hormone production, and even brain function. The research shows that high sugar consumption is independently associated with increased cardiovascular risk, even when accounting for weight. But here's what makes this rule work. You don't have to eliminate these foods completely. You can make strategic choices. Choose high-quality, grass-fed, pasture-raised animal products in moderation. Opt for whole food sources of sugar like fresh fruit, which comes with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Use the 90-10 principle. Make optimal choices 90% of the time, and allow flexibility for the other 10%. The sixth rule brings us to blood pressure, and this one requires us to understand the difference between treating a number and optimizing a system. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer because it can damage your cardiovascular system for years without noticeable symptoms. But what causes high blood pressure in the first place? It's not just about sodium intake, though that's part of it. Blood pressure regulation involves your kidneys, your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, your endocrine system, all working together. When any of these systems become stressed or imbalanced, blood pressure can rise. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which increases blood pressure. Poor sleep quality affects blood pressure regulation. Inflammation from various sources affects arterial flexibility, which influences blood pressure. The key is to think of blood pressure as a symptom, not the disease itself. Yes, sometimes medication is necessary to protect your cardiovascular system while you work on underlying factors. But the real work is addressing those underlying factors through the other rules: movement, nutrition, stress management, weight optimization. Blood pressure naturally improves when the systems that regulate it are functioning optimally. The seventh and final rule relates to cholesterol, and this might be where the most confusion exists in popular health information. For decades, we've been told to fear cholesterol, that lower is always better. But the research tells a more nuanced story. The studies showed that the ratio between high-density lipoprotein, low-density lipoprotein, and triglycerides is more significant than total cholesterol numbers alone. Here's what's actually happening in your body. Cholesterol isn't the enemy. Your liver produces cholesterol because your body needs it for many essential functions. It's necessary for producing hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol. It's crucial for building cell membranes. It's involved in synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight. Your brain needs cholesterol to function optimally. The problem arises when cholesterol becomes oxidized and damaged through inflammation. Then it can contribute to plaque formation in arteries. So the focus shouldn't be on eliminating cholesterol. It should be on reducing inflammation and supporting healthy cholesterol metabolism through nutrition, movement, stress management, and the other rules we've discussed. Now, I want to dive deeper into how these rules interact with your body's fundamental systems. Take exercise, for example. When you engage in regular physical activity, your body responds by increasing the production of mitochondria in your muscle cells. These cellular powerhouses become more numerous and more efficient, cascading benefits throughout your entire system from brain function to immune response. The fascinating finding about the exercise-longevity connection is that consistent moderate activity outperformed sporadic intense training for longevity outcomes. You don't need to become an elite athlete. You need to move your body regularly in ways that support your cardiovascular system, metabolic health, and musculoskeletal function. Similarly, nutrition is about more than calories or macronutrients. Every food you eat contains information in the form of micronutrients, phytochemicals, antioxidants. Your body uses this information to regulate thousands of biochemical processes. When you consistently provide high-quality nutritional information through your food choices, your body functions optimally. The 90-10 principle works because it consistently provides your body with high-quality information most of the time while allowing for flexibility and enjoyment. Now let me explain how these 7 rules don't just work independently, but create a synergistic effect. When you move your body regularly, you're not just affecting your weight. You're improving insulin sensitivity, which affects how you process sugars. You're reducing inflammation, which affects your cardiovascular health and blood pressure. You're improving sleep quality, which affects hormone production and stress management. You're enhancing mitochondrial function, which affects every cell in your body. When you optimize your nutrition by focusing on whole, nutrient-dense foods, you're providing your body with the raw materials it needs to function optimally. But you're also reducing inflammation, supporting gut health, providing antioxidants that protect your cells from oxidative stress. This directly supports your cardiovascular system, your immune system, your brain function, and even your mental health. When you eliminate tobacco and reduce alcohol, you're not just removing toxins. You're reducing the burden on your liver, which means it can perform its other functions more effectively. This affects cholesterol metabolism, hormone processing, blood sugar regulation, detoxification of other toxins from your environment. Your entire metabolic system becomes more efficient. Let me share something the studies revealed that's truly remarkable. Participants who followed all 7 rules didn't just see incremental improvements. They saw transformative changes. The 80% reduction in heart attack risk, the 88% reduction in diabetes risk, these weren't theoretical calculations. These were measurable outcomes in people's lives. But here's what's even more important. It's not about perfection. It's about progression. Maybe you can't tackle all 7 rules at once. That's completely understandable. Start with the ones that feel most achievable for you right now. Perhaps you already exercise regularly, but want to improve your nutrition. Perhaps you've eliminated tobacco, but want to work on blood pressure management. Every step in the right direction creates improvement, and improvement compounds over time. The research also showed something fascinating about the mental and emotional aspects of living a long, healthy life. The participants who were most successful weren't those who approached this with rigidity and fear. They were those who understood the principles, integrated them gradually, and found sustainable ways to live them out. They built habits rather than relying on willpower. They created systems rather than setting strict rules they couldn't maintain. This brings us to the spiritual and energetic dimensions of longevity. When you're living in alignment with these principles, something shifts in how you relate to your own body and to life itself. You begin to see your body not as an object that needs to be controlled or fixed, but as a living system that you're in relationship with. You start to listen to its signals, to respect its needs, to work with its natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. This shift in consciousness changes everything. It's no longer about depriving yourself or following rules imposed from outside. It's about consciously choosing to invest in your long-term well-being because you recognize the value of vitality, of feeling good in your body, of having the energy to do the things that matter to you. The studies weren't just measuring lifespans. They were looking at health spans, the quality of life during those years. And this is crucial. Living a long life isn't meaningful if you're spending decades in poor health, unable to do the things you love, constantly managing symptoms and visiting doctors. The goal isn't just to add years to life, but to add life to years. So how do these 7 rules support a vibrant health span, not just an extended lifespan? They work by optimizing multiple systems simultaneously. Your cardiovascular system benefits from movement, optimal nutrition, blood pressure management, and cholesterol balance. Your metabolic system benefits from weight optimization, reduced alcohol, improved insulin sensitivity. Your immune system benefits from reduced inflammation, better sleep, less toxic load. Your nervous system benefits from stress management, regular movement, optimal blood sugar. Your endocrine system benefits from proper nutrition, weight management, reduced alcohol. Every rule connects to every other rule. You can't optimize just one system in isolation. Your body doesn't work that way. It's all interconnected. And that's actually good news. It means that when you improve in one area, you're automatically supporting improvements in other areas. Now, you might be wondering, what about the specific implementation? How do I actually apply these rules in my daily life? Let me give you some practical strategies. For tobacco elimination, recognize that this is one of the most powerful steps you can take. If you're currently using tobacco, consider it as a key priority. There are many resources available, from counseling to support groups to medical interventions. The psychological component is often as significant as the physical addiction, so consider addressing both. Most importantly, be patient with yourself. This isn't a one-day achievement. It's a journey. For alcohol, start by becoming more mindful of when and why you consume it. Is it habit? Is it stress management? Is it social pressure? Then make intentional choices. Consider periods of complete abstinence to give your liver a chance to fully recover. Notice how you sleep, how you feel, how your energy levels change during alcohol-free periods. This isn't about restriction. It's about freedom of choice and informed decision-making. For movement, start where you are. If you're currently sedentary, even 10 minutes of daily movement creates benefit. The 40-minute weekly target is achievable for almost anyone. It can be walking, swimming, cycling, dancing, gardening. The key is consistency and enjoyment. Find something you actually like doing, because if you hate it, you won't sustain it. As you build the habit, you can gradually increase intensity and duration. But start with consistency at whatever level is sustainable for you right now. For nutrition, think in terms of addition rather than elimination. Add more vegetables to every meal. Add whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds. Add diverse colors and textures. As you add more nutritious foods, they naturally displace less optimal choices. You're not depriving yourself. You're upgrading your fuel. Focus on the quality of what you eat, the preparation methods, the timing. Eat slowly and mindfully. This isn't just about the food itself, but about how you're relating to food. For weight management, shift your focus from the scale to how you feel, how your clothes fit, how your energy levels are. Use measurements like waist circumference, which is more significant than total weight for metabolic health. Focus on building muscle through resistance training, because muscle mass is metabolically active and protective. Don't chase an ideal weight that's unsustainable. Focus on a lifestyle that naturally supports a healthy weight. For blood pressure, understand that this is often about multiple systems working together. Reduce stress through practices like meditation, yoga, breath work. Improve sleep quality through consistent routines and sleep hygiene. Optimize your nutrition to reduce inflammation. Engage in regular movement. When these factors are addressed, blood pressure often improves naturally. But work with healthcare professionals, get regular checkups, and if medication is needed, take it while you work on the underlying factors. For cholesterol, stop fearing it completely. Focus on reducing inflammation through the foods you eat, the movement you do, the stress you manage, the toxins you avoid. Support healthy cholesterol metabolism through optimal nutrition. Work with healthcare professionals to understand your specific numbers in context. And create a plan that addresses root causes rather than just numbers. You don't have to make all 7 changes simultaneously. Gradual integration works better than dramatic transformation. Start with one rule, typically for about 3 months, then add another. The most successful participants weren't relying on willpower. They leveraged their environment and routines, making the healthy choice the easy choice. Create systems, not willpower challenges. Remember, these aren't rigid rules. They're guiding principles backed by decades of research involving hundreds of thousands of people. They're tools for creating a life where you're not just living longer, but feeling better, having more energy, thinking more clearly, and experiencing more vitality. This approach is accessible to almost anyone. Start today with one thing, one choice, one small change. The research shows that every step in the right direction matters. Every improvement compounds. Every moment you invest in your long-term health pays dividends for decades to come. The studies found something remarkable. It wasn't just that participants lived longer. Their quality of life improved dramatically with more energy, better mood, improved cognitive function, stronger relationships, and greater sense of purpose. The research looked at disability-free life expectancy, measuring how many years you spend in good health. The 7 rules significantly extend Healthspan, extending active, healthy years and compressing the period of decline. Each rule supports aging well, muscle preservation through exercise, cognitive health through improved circulation, cardiovascular resilience, metabolic efficiency, and immune strength. These aren't just adding years to life, but adding quality to those years. Change can feel overwhelming. You might look at all 7 rules and think, I can't do all of this. Let me offer you a different perspective. The most successful participants didn't approach this as a pass-fail test. They understood the goal isn't perfection, it's direction. Some days are better than others. The key is recognizing you always have the opportunity to make new choices that support your long-term well-being. The research showed that participants with strong social connections tended to adhere better to the 7 rules. When you have people who care about you, you're naturally motivated to take care of your health. As you implement these rules, consider engaging your social network, finding friends or family who want similar changes, joining communities, and celebrating progress together. If you're a parent, implementing these rules models healthy living and invests in your family's longevity. For those who feel it's too late, the research has great news. The benefits are measurable at every age. Your body has remarkable regenerative capacity regardless of your age. So let me ask you, which of these 7 rules calls to you right now? Which one feels most achievable? Which one, if you integrated it into your life, would create the biggest positive shift? Start there. Build from there. Trust the process. Trust your body's ability to heal and optimize when you give it what it needs to function at its best. Because the truth is, you have more control over your longevity and health span than you might realize. The science is clear. The path is mapped out. The resources are available. The question is, what will you do with this information? How will you integrate these principles into your life in a way that's sustainable and authentic to who you are? Remember, this isn't about comparison or perfection. It's about progression. It's about making choices today that your future self will thank you for. It's about recognizing that you have agency in how you age, how you feel, how you experience life. The 7 rules aren't constraints. They're tools of empowerment. As we wrap up, the research gives us evidence-based hope. Not false hope, but real, measurable hope backed by rigorous science. You don't have to accept poor health as inevitable as you age. You have more control over your trajectory than you might have realized. Implementing these 7 rules can genuinely transform both how long you live and how well you live. This is your roadmap. The science has demonstrated these rules work. The question is, what will you do with this roadmap? Start with intention. Choose with awareness. Act with purpose. Every positive step you take in the direction of these 7 rules is an investment in your future self. A future with more energy, more clarity, more vitality, more life. That's the promise of the science. That's the choice you get to make, starting today. Important medical disclaimer. The information provided in this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on scientific research, expert knowledge, and holistic health principles gathered from various sources. However, this information does not constitute medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, cannot replace professional medical consultation, should not be used as a substitute for qualified healthcare, may not be appropriate for your specific health condition. Critical requirements. Always consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making health decisions. Seek immediate medical attention for urgent health concerns. Discuss any health changes or new symptoms with your doctor. Ensure any supplements or lifestyle changes are appropriate for your individual situation. Consider your personal medical history, current medications, and health status. Limitation of liability. The authors and publishers of this content assume no responsibility for any adverse effects or consequences resulting from the use of any information, suggestions, or procedures described herein. Individual results may vary, and health outcomes depend on numerous factors beyond the scope of this content. Professional medical care. This content encourages and emphasizes the importance of maintaining regular contact with qualified healthcare providers for proper medical care, diagnosis, and treatment of any health conditions.